and you stay pretty hot. Two moments though. If I give you this date, August 7th, 2005, do you remember that date? I see you giggling right here.
Yes, and the reason why, I just did a private signing, and they had these photographs of me being celebrated at home plate, which is the walk-off grand slam against the Atlanta Braves. And I turned to Joe.
Say that again. Walk-off grand slam. Yeah, all right. Walk-off grand slam. Okay.
So, and I turned to Joe Pfeiffer, and I'm like, because Joe's standing behind me, I'm like, Joe, that's tomorrow. It's the anniversary of it. So that's the only reason why I knew it was that date. And so he didn't realize it either. So yes, that was a very magical day. The funny thing about that story was, I know they showed it on TV, but I did not know about it at the time. So it was bases loaded. I'm going up to plate. John Rodriguez is on deck, and Albert's like grabbing John Rodriguez's bat, telling him he's not going to need it. And the only way the game was going to end was me having three guys score. So somehow he knew I was going to do something. He told him he knew I was basically going to hit a home run.
Well, and the first one out of the dugout, jumping like a little kid, was Albert.
Because he had just told John, throw your bat away. So yeah,
it was fantastic.
Yeah, and it was against the Braves, that was my childhood team. So
well, and then I'm going to ask one more date then. Swinging with the hot stick. 20 days later, August 27th, 2005, you hit another home run. I happened to be in the ballpark for that one too. Do you happen to remember that home run? And you had, in the post-game, I wouldn't say presser, it's just comments at your locker, but you had such a nonchalant answer about this home run, which cracks me up. But you squared up for a bunt.
Oh, yes.
And then you pull the bat back, and you hit a home run. Does anybody else remember this moment? Thanks, Ashley. Your wife does. And then after the game, everybody's like, "This is incredible! David Eckstein, square, fakes the bunt, hits the home run." And after the game, you're like, "Yeah, I do it in batting practice all the time. I'm just trying to put the ball in the air." And it's like, my gosh, how many pitchers can't even get a bunt down? And why can't we get our guys to do that? I don't know. Why are you talking about that?
Okay, so the funny story behind that is the fact that I'll go back to my AAA year. My AAA year was my first year on the 40-man. No one knew my name in the Red Sox organization prior to that point. But when you get on the 40-man, now everyone kind of wants to put their name on you. And so there was a hitting coach who basically came up to me and said, "You can't hit that way." And I was like, in the big leagues, I'm like, "Really? How do you want me to hit? This, and this." So I changed for him. And I was hitting below 160. And of course, me not wanting to put any pressure, I just wore it. And finally, one day, my brother heard my voice when I talked to him on the phone, and he calls up my sister and says, "Book me a flight. I got to go see me. Something's wrong." And he's like, "Well, you're teaching right now." And he's like, "I don't care. I'm going to take a leave of absence. He needs me right now." And so he flew up to, I think we were playing the Yankees. Oh, Toledo? No, not Toledo. Wherever the Yankees, oh gosh. I forget exactly, but
maybe Toledo.
Yeah. And so,
they're the Clippers.
The Clippers in Columbus. We're in Columbus.
Yeah.
And so we're in AAA. And so you always have a roommate in AAA. So he's actually behind the garbage dumpster, teaching me how to hit again. Because I never thought about hitting. I just picked up the bat and hit. And so when all of a sudden I was trying to get back to who I was, I had no clue. The only way I knew how to get back to where I was to fake bunt, pull back, and swing. I called it the Happy Gilmore. So from that point on, my first round I always try to hit the hole at first base, like someone's holding on the runner, try to hit a low ground ball. Second round I try to hit off the L screen. Then the last rounds you just swing, and every last swing of each round I would fake bunt and hit, and it was the only time I could hit the ball way further than any time that I just stood in there. So I would call it my home run round. So I always would hit home runs when I did that. So bringing to this game, if I could fake the bunt, I would try to hit as hard as I can down the third baseman's throat. You know what I mean? Because he's charging in if I can hit it low. But the problem was that every time I did that MVP, it was a home run. So when I did it in the game against, what was it, Mike Stanton, I think? And it was RFK
It was
Stadium.
against the Nationals.
Yeah, it was at RFK Stadium.
Oh, maybe that was it. Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, misremembering myself.
Yeah,
I remember
that-
that happening
yeah.
though. And it's like he fakes bunt, he fakes
Yeah,
the bunt, hits the home run.
and
It's
so
like, this
yeah,
is amazing.
and to be honest, probably one of the coolest moments I had because I love doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Jason Marquis had a great game. That
Oh,
was
yes.
big. Yeah, and he may have been on base and you scored
Yeah.
him. So, anyway, all right. So the team gets to the National League Championship Series. Doesn't end the way we want. How does that motivate you going into 2006?
It was very difficult, because I thought you were going to go off another special home run that year when Albert hit the 3-run home run.
Well, you can
And,
take
oh
us
my
there.
God.
That's all right.
So you're playing and you're down, and all of a sudden Albert hits a 3-run home run, and we're leading, and then we end up winning Game 5. I promise you, the only thought was that we were going to win the World Series. I mean, that's the only storybook, you write after that. And so when we come up and we actually lose Game 6 to Roy Oswalt, I mean, it was one of those things like, oh my gosh, like how'd that just happen? And go back to what I said before in the 0-2, like when you win the World Series and you make it to the World Series, anything less than that, it just like it throws you, like my wife will tell you, like into like almost about a month where you don't even function because you feel like that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, the fans have supported you so much, and that's what you want to give them as well. So going into 06, yeah, it was one of those things that it's like, you really want to do that, but also to become part of the rich tradition that St. Louis has.
So we get into 2006, and you talked about that 2005 club specifically being one of the most talented teams you've ever been on. 2006 didn't quite turn out that way. Wasn't quite the juggernaut that you'd been a part of the year before. So talk us through a little bit about just even getting into the playoffs. I mean,
yeah, so basically, about the first 2 months, we were very good. We were one of the best teams in the league. And then all of a sudden, like, the injury bug hit. And, people were going down. I mean, personally, I had the concussions. Then I ripped my oblique off the bone. Then I finally come back with 10 games left to play. And then on that Sunday night game facing Clemens, I hit a ball, thinking it's in the gap, and I take off. I pull my hamstring. So it was one of those things that we knew if we got healthy, we would be okay. But at that point, we were about to make baseball history as being the team to have the biggest lead and not make the playoffs. And I think that was more running through everyone's minds as a sense of like, we just got to find a way to get in. And fortunately enough, on that final day, Atlanta was able to beat Houston. I think it was around the 7th inning. We were in the dugout, and we were all like, yes. And so having the ability to be in the playoffs, it was one of the first times Tony was able to write out more of a normal lineup in that first game in San Diego. And the way the playoff system is set off with the days off, it allowed us to sort of be back to who we were.
remember going out to San Diego. I wasn't there. Obviously you were. And a couple of key things in that series, and you were on the field to witness it, but the odds of dropping a foul, behind the plate, Albert getting another pitch, and he, pops that for a home run. I remember Josh Kinney being huge, this kind of unknown guy in the bullpen, and I forget who he struck out. Maybe it was Brian Giles, but Giles literally jumped to get out of the way and swung at the same time. I mean, crazy things start to happen, and then your double play tandem in the infield, Belliard, just kind of comes out of nowhere, and you guys start making magic happen.
Well, yeah, I mean Ronnie's play. I think it was against Mark Bellhorn hit the ball in the middle that he makes the play with bases loaded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think everyone tells you that was like the turning point that really sent us on our way. And after that game, Jim Edmonds started the corny thing of giving out a game ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, that's Little League. And we fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And he stands up on the table and gives it to Ronnie Belliard. From that point on, everyone wanted to earn that game ball at the end of the day because of Jimmy. But that's stuff that you know, he was such a leader within the clubhouse and knowing the right moments to stand up and say something. But yes, no, he was very, very lucky to have him as a teammate.
So let's circle back to the comment about Tony telling you to just be yourself. In the 2006 World Series, you being yourself, 364 batting average, 3 doubles, 4 RBIs, 500 slugging percentage, and an 891 on base percentage. Of Yachty, of Scott Rowland, who also had a great series, but you were voted World Series MVP. And you were the one that led the Cardinals to that 10th World Series championship. It was an incredible performance. And there was one play that, in kind of an ironic sense, in Cardinals history that stood out. The Game 4 double, the first double, he had 2 doubles in that game, but that really, there were great performances around the team. We mentioned, Molina, Rowland, Reyes's performance, to get the club going there with the first game. But the double when Granderson slips in the outfield, and your Cardinals history, but a lot of fans that remember the 1968 World Series when Curt Flood slipped in Game 7, and some believe that may have been that was the turning point, whether or not it's fair towards Curt Flood, but he slips, and that really gave the Tigers the opportunity to steal that game or get that win, and that was the World Series. And here you hit a ball that
Should have been caught.
if we're honest with us, right? You just said it should have been caught, but Granderson slips. We take advantage, and then you put the nail in the coffin with the double later in the game. That was really the winning runs or driving them in. What does that mean for you? And do you think about those things from a history perspective, or is it just part of the game?
Yeah, no, totally. And yes, if you play for the Cardinals, you know about 1968 Curt Flood slipping in center field, and then all of a sudden it's like role reversal, and that happens, and you think that there is something magical going on here, and that something is occurring. And a friend of mine had the opportunity to talk to Curtis Granderson a couple years ago, and to this day, that's the one play he will not forget. The rest, it's like, oh my gosh, if I could have just stayed on my feet in St. Louis, And so it is something, but it goes down in history. Like you would never thought would happen in '68, and then the role reverse in '06. So it was. I'm glad we were on the other end of it. But I mean, this game is funny, and there's mysterious things that goes on and how it syncs up with other things of the past. And if you're a real history buff, I don't know if you listen to Tim Kirchin at all, like he would go through all this stuff. But that type of stuff is pretty cool to actually now be a part of.
Absolutely. You would play here in 2007, had 3 outstanding seasons for us, as I mentioned, to start here, 2-time All-Star, 2005 and 2006. And then 2007 wasn't quite the team that we had the first 2 years you were here, but we had 3 great campaigns with you, and wonderful time here in St. Louis. You would move on and have a wonderful career throughout both leagues and finish off. I want to hit you with a few other quick questions here. Just kind of overview, in terms of looking back at your career, your Major League career, your Cardinals career, I'll let you take a choice. What are you most proud of? What stands out?
If I'm being totally honest, the biggest thing about this game is something that my dad always taught me. Like, just because you play, it doesn't change who you are. And so the ability of being the same person as you walk into the league as when you walk out of the league, I would say, because my agent asked me this question when I told him that I was done playing, I was retiring. And to me, is the fact that walking in the same person that I walked out as, because the only thing that you have in this game is your reputation and how you treat people. And so I wanted to be that person that and my family would never let me change anyways. But that's what it's about. It's about being a good person, and that was probably the one thing that I most enjoy personally about the game.
Awesome. Who had the biggest influence on you?
Other than my parents, first and foremost, what they instilled in me as a young kid, the work ethic and how you have to go about the way you live your life, and how that it's on you to achieve your dreams if you want them, that you can do it. And then also like my brother was there with me ever since I was little, helped training me and put me in the right position to be successful and stuff. So that was huge. And then I did meet my wife in '03, and she was a huge part in that second half of my career. And funny story.
First of all, that's a good answer. As noted, she's in the audience today.
You gotta, like, if you understood my family, like, my dad did not want me to get married. And the number one reason why was he did not want me to be distracted. He did not want me to be distracted at all. And so we get married in November of '05. So to go out the '06 to win the World Series, like, I was worried, but okay, I guess it worked out.
The funny thing is I wasn't even expecting a mention. I thought he was just going to say his dad.
All right.
Aww.
This is being recorded. So
Aww.
That's right. Make sure the masses understand. All right, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, I might be wrong with this. Okay, fans want to know what happened to the yellow Corvette.
Yes.
Yeah, yellow Corvette. So
And the yellow Corvette. So you win the World Series MVP. You don't just get a shiny trophy.
yeah, you get the keys to a yellow Corvette that's now underneath the stadium, and I have the keys in my hand, and I don't drive stick, and I don't even know what to do. So I'm like, what do I do? So I actually left the car there and the keys there, only to find out that it wasn't my car. It was a promo car.
Oh.
So I had to call up. So a month goes by, still no car, no word of it. So my agent calls up, hey, what are you doing? They're like, your client really wants the car? And he's like, yes, he does. He's never owned his own car. He definitely wants this car. And so they actually sent me the manual, and I could they let me pick it out. So I picked black on black, and then they gave me, and then the brakes are red, so the inner brakes are red. But they gave me $5,000 to engrave it as my own. And so we did the World Series logo, and with my MVP signature
That's cool.
into both seats. So,
That's
yeah.
cool.
And since I do not drive stick shift, yeah. And the one thing about my brother, so like growing up as a kid, my brother had like a '65 fastback Mustang. Once he went to college, had to sell it. You know, I mean, we didn't have money. You know, 5 kids in college. You know, 3 kidney transplants. We did not have money, so he had to sell it to go into college. But he loved those type of cars. So legitimately, when the car showed up in Sanford, Florida, he came down with the dealership. I actually turned it over to him that day.
Oh man.
Yeah, so he has it in where he lives. Last year just turned 10,000 miles. So he treats it. It's in pristine condition.
But you did have your autograph on the seat. So you left that little reminder.
Yes.
That was a nice touch.
Well, it was his idea.
Oh.
Because
okay.
you know how sometimes they get the plaques and stuff like that that are in the cars and stuff, and Rick's like, no, we're not doing that. And his idea was to do the seats, and so I think it turned out.
That's fantastic. All right, so Corvettes are normally 2-seater. They're 2-seaters, right? It's a sports car. Let's say that it was a 4-seater, okay? And you had to pick 3 teammates to go on a road trip.
Oh.
2 Cardinals teammates. We're bringing it around here. We're about to hit the runway, but you had to go on a cross-country road trip, okay? Who would your 3 Cardinals teammates be?
First and foremost, Jimmy, because Jimmy pays for everything. and he always knows where the entertainment's at, and I think my wife would kill me if I didn't pick Jimmy. I love doing that. Scott Spezio, like
All right.
me and Speez from back in Anaheim as well.
Okay.
The relationship we had. The third, who would I go with? That's an interesting one. I'd probably.
It sounds like you got the Anaheim connections now, because Jimmy was in
Yeah,
Anaheim.
but that was before me though.
Okay.
Golly, this is hard. Like I would probably.
We're not going to tell him.
I'd probably go like, I don't know if you've ever spent time with Scott Rowland, but one of the driest sense of humors you ever want to be around. So I'd probably say Scotty.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's you're.
I know, it's my decision. Like,
I didn't know if it would be like one of
Yanni.
the bullpen guys because they're always the ones sitting around joking and telling stories.
Well, like
but-
that's Randy Flores. I mean, how's he running this club right now? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well,
Like, he was like, you're talking about up there with being entertaining. Randy Flo had it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I could go like, you go Albert, you go Yachty, you go Adam Wainwright. I mean, I was on the phone with Carpenter today.
Wayne, I'm really rolling too. They're kind of tall, so you got to think about in the car the
Right.
legs. Anyway,
Yeah, that's
we can get
true.
off track.
Well, they were
off
probably putting me in
topic
the
of
back,
this.
so.
That's fair enough. Great answer. Okay, finally, last question I have for you. What are you up to now? Tell us a little bit about what your wife.
Yeah.
She's
Doing her thing.
right, and what's
Yeah.
her thing, so everybody else knows.
So, my wife had started a company called Her Universe. It was a clothing line for female sci-fi fans. And she came up with the idea back in 2008 to launch in 2010. But it might seem weird, but at that time, if you were a female and you wanted to buy a sci-fi or fantasy shirt, you were going into the boys sections or the man section. So she decided, kind of after what Alyssa Milano did for sports, was make a female style shirt cut for female bodies. And so basically took that, ran with it, and I think you see what has happened in that community now. Like, the fandom is huge, but the only problem is when you are a small business owner and all the big companies have the license, like Disney, you go down the list, Target, you're dealing with all those. It was time that we needed to sell. So we actually sold it to a company called Hot Topic. They were a big support of us. And so now it has taken new legs with that, and she is a consultant for that. But she has originated a character, I don't know if you heard of it in Star Wars, called Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When people,
She's kind of a big deal.
she's kind of a big
Yeah.
deal, a lot bigger deal than I am. I can promise you that right now. And it's pretty cool, to be honest. So she originated and voiced the character. And actually, if you guys listen carefully in episode 9, when Rey is calling out the past Jedis, you actually hear her voice. So her voice was she actually did that in episode 9. And so now that character is one of the most popular characters in the Star Wars universe. And so I'm just holding on. She does stuff with Disney as well, so holding on for the ride right now.
So what I'm hearing is that you're kind of a trophy husband. Is that fair to say?
Well, with a lot of shine, yes. So this past weekend, she had a convention in Raleigh, North Carolina, and my badge actually said sidekick. I want it bag carrier, because I think I could be a very good professional bag carrier.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been great having you here. Thank you so much for coming back to town. It's our pleasure having the 2006 World Series MVP back at the Cardinals Museum. Let's give a round of applause. Yeah! We've got just a couple more minutes. If anybody has a question, we can do that. If you're interested in getting an autograph, we'd ask no autographs today. David will be coming back tomorrow to do an autograph signing from 2 to 4 p.m. You can get tickets for that at the front desk. And we're going to do a photo op experience tomorrow with the trophy, with his trophy as well. So those are free when you come back tomorrow during the autograph signing. But if you've got any quick questions, we've got just a few more minutes. And then we're going to buzz them over to the ballpark for the rest of their activities this evening. So, any quick questions? This is your opportunity.